Hey guys, welcome to this new episode. So, breaking news. According to Tucker Carlson, supposedly the United States is going to war officially with Venezuela. Donald Trump's been saying that we will have troops on the ground in Venezuela. He said he has a very, very big announcement that he's going to be making tonight, this evening. So, stay tuned. But Tucker Carlson just said that literally he had a conversation with a Congress person this morning, and they told him that Congress was briefed and that supposedly we are going to war. Let me play this clip for you, because this is highly concerning. Check it out.
Is Trump going to start a war in Venezuela?
I don't know. I don't know when this program airs, the one that we're on right now. This thing's maybe live.
We're live now, and then it'll be posted immediately. So now,
my sense is, I don't know the answer. I've certainly been on the phone a lot about it. I have no power. I'm a podcaster, but I'm very interested. And so here's what I know so far, which is that members of Congress were briefed yesterday that a war is coming, and it'll be announced in the address to the nation tonight at 9:00 by the president. Who knows, by the way, if that will actually happen? I don't know. And I never want to overstate what I know, which is pretty limited in general. But a member of Congress told me that this morning. So that's what I know. My opposition to this, and I'm sure if you oppose this, they'll be like, oh, you're a communist, which I'm not. My opposition to it.
Guys, I'm not sure if you notice, he's trying to be obviously very careful, saying, well, I don't know if this is going to happen, but he already claims that a source, a congressperson, told them this is happening. But remember, Donald Trump said just days ago, we will have troops on the ground in Venezuela going after the cartels. And he also just said, like yesterday, that they were surrounded like never before any country in South America had ever been surrounded. So Donald Trump, remember, he can't keep a secret. He's literally a human walking and breathing leak called Donald Trump. So I'm pretty sure this information has to be 100% accurate.
It comes from what I've learned from watching closely for the past 25 years since I've been assigned to cover all these stories, including, in Iraq, Afghanistan. Like, I've watched, and there's not been a regime change effort that's benefited the United States or the world in 80 years that I'm aware of. And if there is, tell me what it is. I just don't see any evidence of that. It all seems like a net loss for us. And so this is why they're calling me an anti-Semite, because I was opposed to regime change war in Iran, and I'm opposed to one in Venezuela, particularly Venezuela, because it's right there and all kinds of things could happen. You say you hate Maduro. We hate Maduro. Imagine what would Venezuela look like without Maduro, and who would replace Maduro? Some absurd, Klaus Schwab acolyte, fake Nobel Prize winner, the abortion lady is going to, this is all so crazy.
Who's employed by the Mossad, or is at least an asset of the Mossad. I mean, what national security threat to the United States?
Okay, guys, let me show you now about this Tulsi Gabbard thing that they said around minute 25. Let me just fast forward quickly here. Check this out, because they're saying that Tulsi Gabbard apparently has been completely, set aside. They're not using Tulsi Gabbard. The thing with Tulsi Gabbard is that, she's the intelligence director. How are you going to have these military operations and all of that, and you're supposedly, ghosting her and leaving her out of the different, meetings and the discussions? Check this out. This was actually kind of surprising up to a certain point, but not completely, and I'll tell you why in just a second. Let me just go back here around 10 seconds. Here we go.
Clearly true.
You mentioned Tulsi. Here's what she said a few years ago, 2019, about Venezuela. The United States needs to stay out of Venezuela. Let the Venezuelan people determine their future. We don't want other countries to choose our leaders, so we have to stop trying to choose theirs.
Ouch.
To me, that is as sound, rational, appropriate, correct, a two-liner as I have heard. And yet, is she marginalized in the White House? We are told, our mutual friend Max Blumenthal, that she was totally marginalized during the 12-day Israeli-Iran war. She wasn't even in the situation room in the White House? Is she going to be marginalized in the preparation for this absurd invasion of Venezuela? Because that's her true attitude.
I mean, I can't guess, and I'm almost hesitant to compliment Tulsi, whom I consider an outstanding and honest and thoroughly decent to the bone person, because it doesn't help Tulsi to have me compliment her, but I do feel that strongly. And so, of course, you know, a lot is at stake. Everyone's phone.
Well, guys, I'm not going to play the whole video. That's Judges Napolitano's channel. You can go and watch the whole interview. It was actually very interesting because, remember, Tucker Carlson right now, he's in this position in which, you know, I'm not sure if he's just kind of like a newborn creature, but he's been very, you know, extremely critical of a lot of Trump's current positions. And even in this on this show, go and watch it. On this show, Tucker Carlson was saying that he can't even believe that he said many years ago a lot of things about Muslims, because that was the narrative from the far right, and it was the narrative that they were pushing at Fox News. And he, you know, that's what he had to do. He had to be consistent with his TV, you know, persona, character at that point that he was playing. But now that he's independent, he's claiming that this is the real Tucker Carlson. I'm not sure if that's true or not, and I don't even care. I'm not a fan of Tucker Carlson, but I bring you that because he's very well connected to, obviously, to Congress and a lot of people in the media. And he said that he was pretty much, Congress was briefed yesterday, and he was briefed this morning by a congressperson telling him it's official. We are going to war with Venezuela. Donald Trump is going to announce it tonight. But let me tell you this. I wanted to play that part of the Tulsi Gabbard clip. Why? Because they're saying now, there's reports that they're leaving Tulsi Gabbard completely out of deliberations and stuff. And I'm like, how are you going to leave? She's leading the intelligence community. How do you go to war? How do you do all these things without actually counting on our intelligence agency? So who is Donald Trump? And this question I've asked before on my Spanish, podcast. Where is Donald Trump getting his intelligence from? Because certainly it is not from the U.S. intelligence community. Do you guys remember when he was bombing Iran recently that Tulsi Gabbard had told Congress under oath that they didn't have the capacity, Iran didn't have the capacity to develop a weapon of mass destruction, like nuclear weapon, and anytime soon. That yes, they were kind of like trying to obviously continue developing it, but they didn't have the capacity. That was, her testimony, official testimony under oath, literally just a couple of 2 months before Donald Trump said that they were almost at a point of having, who knows, 10, 20, nuclear mass destruction weapons. So obviously he was not taking his cues from Tulsi Gabbard. He was not taking his cues when he decided to bomb Iran, which cost us at least around $1 billion. That's, as far as we know. Marjorie Taylor Greene stated that just the bombs that they drop, remember these bombs that have the capacity to penetrate very deep and try to get to those, that whole bunker, system that they had for, these developments of nuclear stuff. Marjorie Taylor Greene said that the bombs alone that they dropped were at least around $800 to $900 million. That's not counting any additional costs related to the whole operation on Iran alone. So now let's talk about something that exposes the biggest lie at the core of Trump's so-called law and order agenda, right? Because while Trump is out here claiming that he's about to invade Venezuela, and he will tonight. I'm pretty sure that's going to be, I don't think he's going to make this whole announcement and be, bragging that Venezuela's surrounded like never before any other country in South America has been surrounded, and that we will go in and have troops on the ground and then say tomorrow we have a very big announcement. I don't think he's going to say that to, all of a sudden announce a change of heart, saying like, yeah, Maduro and I, we just reached an agreement and no military action will be taken. So while he's out here claiming that he's about to invade Venezuela to stop drugs and fight terrorism, his own record tells us a very different story. So let's start with pardons. First, I'm not sure if you guys remember this guy, Ross Ulbricht. You guys remember this guy, Ross Ulbricht? This guy, if you don't know, let me tell you, this guy is the founder of Silk Road. Silk Road wasn't some, like harmless libertarian experiment. It was a massive dark web marketplace that enabled drug trafficking, money laundering, and criminal networks. Let me repeat that. This guy he established this Silk Road, massive dark web marketplace that enabled drug trafficking, money laundering, and criminal networks worldwide. The FBI tied it to overdose deaths and international drug distribution. What happened? Trump pardoned him anyway. Then we have the case of Juan Orlando Hernandez, the former president from Honduras. Let me see. I have the picture here of Juan Orlando. Here it is. Juan Orlando Hernandez. This guy literally was convicted in the USA last year in 2024. This guy trafficked 500 tons of cocaine. 500 tons of cocaine is the equivalent to around anywhere from 76 to 80 freaking full-size adult elephants. Imagine that. Imagine a freaking line of 80 elephants, full-size adult elephants. That's how much cocaine this motherfucker brought into the USA. And Donald Trump decided to pardon him. Why? Because it's convenient politically. But that's, the second case of completely, crazy pardons when he's claiming that he wants to combat, all these cartels, and he wants to combat all these drug traffickers. So it really doesn't make sense, because prosecutors said about this guy that he used the Honduran military to protect drug shipments heading into the United States. And Donald Trump protected him politically now. Why? Because it's useful. It's useful for optics. It's useful for power. So it really, it's completely shameful. And then we have this Binance guy. Do you guys remember this one? His name is Changpeng Zhao, something like that. They call him, CC. This guy also enabled, on his Binance platform, he enabled financing of terrorism, drug trafficking, human trafficking, and also child sexual exploitation. This is a third guy that is related to terrorism and drugs, just like Juan Orlando Hernandez, just like Russ Ulbricht. And Donald Trump has pardoned these people. So let's be clear. Trump has pardoned drug traffickers, cartel enablers, and serious criminals, while pretending to be tough on drugs and terrorism, and while pretending that is the main reason he wants to go into Venezuela, because he doesn't want any Americans dying because of the cartels, because of all these drugs being trafficked into the USA. Now, fast forward to tonight. Multiple reports say, you heard it from Tucker Carlson, it's been obviously already mentioned elsewhere, many different outlets, that Trump is expected to announce military action against Venezuela tonight, including troops on the ground, supposedly to combat the cartels. But ask yourself this. If this were really about stopping drugs, why did he protect the people who enabled drugs, like, these people that I've been showing you right here? Why? Because things are just not adding up, right? It's not about drugs. This isn't about terrorism. And it sure as hell, it isn't about saving lives. So now let's talk about Venezuela for a second, and the people who are about to pay the price. Venezuelans are already suffering under Donald Trump. Venezuelans were blocked from entering the United States, even as their country collapsed under sanctions, corruption, and economic warfare. And families were separated. We've seen the whole thing. Very abusive and very, racist, if you will. Asylum doors were slammed shut. And now we're talking about invasion? And I'm not even getting into the cost of the American, to the American taxpayer of a war operation in Venezuela. Because in Iran, I said it was like around $1 billion. Venezuela, we're going to have, Donald Trump already said it, no country had been supposedly surrounded the way Venezuela is surrounded, and now we're going to have troops on the ground going in? How much do you think that's going to, obviously cost to taxpayers? How many lives are we going to lose, of U.S. soldiers? 2. So every single analyst right now on both sides, This is not a Democrat, criticism. This is not a left-based criticism. Right now, we are seeing people on both sides talking about this initiative to go supposedly after Maduro in Venezuela. In every single serious analyst is warning that military intervention would mean civilian deaths, mass displacement, and regional instability. You don't liberate a country with bombs, you traumatize it. You radicalize it. You create refugees. So why Venezuela? Why regime change? Because it's geopolitics, oil control, power projection, and primarily political theater at this point. This is one of the things that stands out, to me the most. This is more about distraction and political theater. Why? Remember that if we go at war now, Donald Trump can claim that he's at war with Venezuela. Now, 100% for sure. Now he can invoke again the Alien Enemies Act. And now he definitely has a real excuse to say that now we can get all these people out with zero due process, label them as terrorists. And now we can't say that we're not at war with Venezuela. That's one thing, right? At the same time, we have, remember, the Epstein scandal. He signed a law claiming that he was completely transparent and willing to release the Epstein files. And what happened with that? 23, 24. Well, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe this Friday is when it's going to be due. Like, they're supposed to release everything. There's going to be 30 days. And as of now, 3 weeks in, a little bit over 3 weeks in, they haven't released shit. Zero files so far. So it comes down to that. It's geopolitics, it's oil, it's control, it's power projection, it's political theater, it's distraction. And many critics on both sides are saying it should be obvious. It's obvious. If Donald Trump actually cared about human life, he wouldn't have supported policies, according to new studies, for instance, that are going to be killing at least around 50,000 Americans by stripping healthcare access here at home domestically. Remember that. They kicked at least 16 million people off Medicaid. They kicked around, I think it was 3 to 4 million from Medicare. And now the ACA subsidies are expiring. The Democrats just actually voted in favor of extending the ACA costs, and the subsidies, and all Republicans voted against it. At least I just saw a developing story right now. Literally, I just saw that 4 Republicans just joined Democrats to force a vote in the House. So something is happening in the House in the same way that 4 or 5 Republicans joined Democrats in forcing the vote on the Epstein files. The same thing is happening right now with the ACA subsidies. We have at least 4 Republicans, I believe it's 4 of them and maybe 5, that just broke. Just go and check. This news just broke. I was preparing this podcast when I saw it. So kind of like quick, I eyeballed it quickly, but I didn't read all the details. So it's either 4 or 5. The thing is that this is bad news for Republicans because now, they can actually force a vote. And if these people are joining the Democrats, remember, they have very small margins. And now, remember, if they have to force a vote in the House, again, it's ahead of the 2026 election, is putting everybody on the record in terms of all the people that are going to suffer. Remember, this is 25 million Americans that are going to lose pretty much or really struggle to try to get healthcare if their premiums double or triple or even, more. And now you're going to be on the record. If they force a vote, you're going to be on the record literally destroying healthcare for at least 25 million Americans. So that's why it's important that they can, obviously force a vote. And Donald Trump, as you can see, Donald Trump is having all these little, cracks all of a sudden happening in the party. And you see Marjorie Taylor Greene abandoning him. There's reports that Nancy Mace is also going to abandon them. There's reports already, official reports, that at least 23 Republicans in Congress are not going to seek re-election. I believe this is in the House. 23 are not seeking re-election. I just covered 2 episodes ago. I covered the news about Indiana. 21 Republicans joined Democrats. 21 Republicans in Indiana joined Democrats to block Donald Trump's gerrymander, illegal mid-cycle, inter-cycle push, because he knows they're going to lose the House. He knows they're going to lose power in Congress by losing the House, and then by Democrats gaining control of the House, that is going to give them way more power in terms of oversight, in terms of new investigations and hearings, because they're the minority. As a minority, you cannot subpoena people from Congress. It has to be a committee, but it has to start with the majority in control. So I've heard Garcia these days answering this question, saying we can't really take the initiative to do certain things because we are the minority right now. But imagine that 21 Republicans in Indiana telling Donald Trump, we're not doing your bidding. And they said the reason was that Donald Trump was so unbearable to deal with. The White House also was pressuring these Republicans down in Indiana so much that they felt it was an overreach. They said, you guys are the federal government. Deal with your federal stuff in the White House. Stay in your little world, the White House, and leave us do our own job here in Indiana, our state stuff. Don't tell us how to run our state. They were not happy about it because they said the pressure was just unbearable. And they said, you know what? Screw this. We're just going to join Democrats and we're going to vote against Donald Trump's gerrymandering push. Greg Abbott folded in Texas. That's how he got 5 seats in Texas. But now in Indiana, they were expecting to get 2 because Democrats hold right now 2 positions. They dominate 2 districts in Indiana. So they were hoping to get those 2. That will be 7. Remember, California already, they got approval on Prop 50. They're going for it. The Supreme Court said it's not illegal. So California and Texas can move ahead, even though it's against the Voting Rights Act, as Section 2. But the Supreme Court still wanted, once again, to save Trump and allow him to have his 5 seats from Texas. So they said there was no problem with it. So now they can move forward. But now you have Pam Bondi suing California because they want to stop the gerrymandering in California. Even though it was made, in a democratic way, they had people vote, which is different to what happened in Texas. And in Texas, Trump picked up the phone, asked Greg Abbott to fold. Greg Abbott folded, lowered his pants and, gave it to Donald Trump and took it in the butthole like a real man. He took one for the team. No consultation to Texans, and a lot of Texans are not happy about the redistricting. I've heard this a lot recently, and I believe it's true. They say Texas is a red state. Texas, I don't believe is a red state. I believe Texas has been winning consistently for Republicans. Why? Because it's a gerrymandered state. That's why they keep, they keep winning. They continue to win right now. But all I'm saying is that I don't know how you see it, but so far what I'm seeing a Republican Party all of a sudden starting to collapse. Do you notice? Do you notice how people are starting to leave Donald Trump? Do you notice how people, now that he attacked Rob Reiner about this whole killing, he was killed, unfortunately. His wife was killed. They were killed by his own son who was, sick. He had mental health problems, drug addictions, and all these things. And Donald Trump all of a sudden made it about him because this guy, Rob Reiner, at some point maybe made some comments about Donald Trump. And then now he wanted to say, well, that's what happens when you have Trump derangement syndrome. This is, why he got killed. A bunch of things that were awful. And many people in his own party, even on Fox News, a bunch of hosts were condemning Donald Trump, saying, we were like completely, just offended and frustrated and mad about people making fun of Charlie Kirk. And, for the record, not a single leader in the Democratic Party, not a single congressperson, not a single governor, not a single, president or, ex-president, nobody in any relevant known position made any comment mocking the death of Charlie Kirk. To the contrary, what we saw was complete, respect, and a lot of people saying this is unacceptable. People condemned it. Obama did it. Biden did it. Kamala Harris did it. Everybody. But still, maybe there was some, just regular, everyday American Democrats who actually mocked, his death. Maybe some influencers. And, Republicans obviously were going crazy about it and saying this is totally unacceptable. They wanted people to lose their jobs. They forced Jimmy Kimmel out for a while, and they wanted to take licenses away from some of the media networks. And they were saying that they were going to block the entrance of any person trying to request, to come to the United States, either for a green card or whatever it was. If you had something on your social media, even making fun of Charlie Kirk or saying anything negative, that was completely condemned and unacceptable, and it would be counted as pretty much terrorism. But now you have the US president literally mocking the dead, making it about politics and about him in such a tragic case. And you have people like Marjorie Taylor Greene, like I said, a bunch of Fox News hosts, everybody saying this is not what we need in a moment like this. This is not, especially once since we told the country that it was so unacceptable in Charlie Kirk's case, and then now we're going to do the same thing. Now we have our U.S. president mocking, this guy, this family. Completely unbecoming of a U.S. president, but it is what it is. I'm seeing that fracture. I am seeing the collapse. Why? Because now they know Donald Trump is a lame duck. They know chances of Donald Trump staying in power, even though I believe they're actually quite high, because Donald Trump has, I just can't believe this guy is like, he's not going away. Donald Trump says, why we keep talking about Epstein? That guy died in 2019, and we keep talking about him. He won't go away. It doesn't go away. So I feel the same way about Trump, man. This guy lost the 2020 election by a landslide. He promoted, incited an insurrection. He was investigated for it. He was saved by the Supreme Court with this, in presidential immunity. He was saved by the judge Eileen Cannon back in Florida on the classified documents case. He was still convicted for the Stormy Daniels fraud, 34 count case. He was still found liable for civil violations by the Letitia James case on fraud, bank fraud, and insurance fraud. And he was found to be liable for sexual abuse and defamation and aggression. And the E. Jean Carroll, 2 trials, one of them by a jury. The Trump Organization in January 2023, was found to be guilty criminal tax evasion. A lot of MAGA people always in the comments starts hating, the case wasn't criminal. Bro, MAGA, stick your head out of Trump's ass for a second and go and check court cases. The Trump Organization, it's a separate entity. It's not Donald Trump. Donald Trump faced some civil cases in New York, but in New York too, he faced a criminal case for the Trump Organization. The Trump Organization was found liable of around 13 or 14 counts of criminal tax evasion. His chief financial officer went to jail, Alan Weisselberg. But this is why they flood the zone with all this bullshit, all these news, so that you can't even focus on what's going on. This is one of the tactics with Venezuela. The economy is falling apart right now. The Epstein files haven't been released. Donald Trump's approval rating is in the toilet right now. He's like a negative 67. 67% are disapproving, not negative 67, my bad, 67% disapproving. So he's like really, really, really underwater in every single category. Underwater and on the border, underwater on the immigration, underwater on in the economy, foreign relations, you name it. Whatever category you want to pick, in every single one he's underwater. But especially he's underwater on the 2 categories that he will always dominate: immigration, the border and immigration, and the economy. And now, even that, the new polls are saying, there's new polls, I just saw this today, saying that even Republicans are starting to say that they trust Democrats more with the economy than Donald Trump. That doesn't mean that they trust Democrats more than all Republicans, but they're saying we don't trust Donald Trump anymore. So again, I'm saying it's not only the country leaving him, his own people are leaving him, and it's not looking good for him. But anyway, so going back to what I was saying before, if Trump actually cared about human life, he wouldn't have just supported all these policies stripping people from, healthcare, because we know, according to new studies, 50,000 people are going to die now each year because they don't have healthcare, because of Medicare, because of the ACA subsidies. So you don't get to claim humanitarian motives abroad when in-house, when domestically, you're condemning people to die. And you don't care. You don't give a shit about it. And then finally, the biggest fraud of them all, Donald Trump promised to end all wars. This is why I have my MAGA brother. I'm not sure. I don't think he watches me because, I'm pretty much the only MAGA that I know of among my siblings. I'm not sure. We don't talk much about politics lately, but at least I know my 2 oldest, siblings, brothers, they are 100% MAGA. And one of them was telling me that Donald Trump would always tell me Donald Trump was the anti-war president. This is why I'm going to vote for him, because, Biden and Kamala Harris, these are war hawks. But Donald Trump is the president, has ended all wars. He didn't start any war during his first term. This is why he's the anti-war president. This is the guy that we need. We don't need to be going into any other countries. We don't want to be doing all these things like Democrats do and spending all this money, burning money for no reason and costing us, American taxpayers, money, and then costing American lives for nothing. Donald Trump is going to stop all of that. But instead, now in roughly 10 months, he escalated, the situation with Iran, and we went to war with Iran. We bombed the shit out of them. They bombed the shit out of Houthis. He already threatened a war with, people in Gaza if they supposedly don't give up, don't surrender to, Israel. He said he would take the Panama Canal by force. He said he would take Greenland too, even though they said they wanted nothing to do with him. And now Venezuela. That sounds like a lot of freaking, wars and war tension in just 10 months, considering that he was supposed to be the anti-war, president. And then to top it off, he just said too on Truth Social, did you read it? He said that Colombia is going to be next. He said President Petro is next. He said, you are next after we're done with Maduro. So he already signaled that he's going into Colombia too. Do you guys think that's going to happen? Well, at least Trump said it. Why? Why did he say that? That they're going to be next. I don't know. This isn't peace. This isn't strength. This is chaos dressed up as patriotism. Trump didn't end the wars as he promised. He didn't drain the swamp, and he's not fighting drugs or terrorism. He is doing what he's always done, which is lying, escalating, and leaving ordinary people, especially the poorest, to pay the price. And tonight, I hope I'm wrong. I hope Tucker Carlson is wrong. I hope, analysts are wrong too. But tonight, if this announcement comes, Venezuelans may be the next ones forced to pay for that lie. But remember, it's not only going to be Venezuelans. Think about all the chaos that's going to happen down there. Think about all the American lives that may be lost. Think about the people that are going to suffer. Do you think they're just going to go in and surgically find only the cartels and nothing else is going to happen? They're already saying that they want to overthrow, Maduro's government. What's her name? Maria Elvira Salazar said that they want to go in for the oil. Republican Maria Elvira Salazar from, Florida. She said that she believed, I think I saw her video recently, that they were going in for the oil. This is definitely not going to be good, guys. Anyway, let me say hi to a couple of people quickly here, because I'm going to wrap it up and leave now. But I wanted to bring you that breaking news, because now this is something major. U.S. going to war now with Venezuela. This is going, this is not child's play. This is not a game. It is for Trump. Probably it is for the war hawks right now around them that are salivating, thinking of the billions of dollars they may make, by getting control of the oil and getting all these businesses right now to, to just celebrate. But this is not going to be good. Just write it down, because I know people are going to regret this, and this is going to cost them politically too. Because Donald Trump hasn't fulfilled a single promise. Like I said, he promised to end all wars. He hasn't ended wars. Actually, he has started new wars. He promised to bring prices down on day one. Everything is skyrocketing pretty much. Only gas prices, and that has little to nothing to do with whatever the president is doing. They say, oh, drill, baby, drill. Go and check. They're not drilling. Actually, drilling is down. Why? Because right now it's not a good investment for them to try to go for more, when a lot of people are still, regardless of everything that Donald Trump is trying to do to punish, renewable energy, people are still moving towards that, because it's, this is the energy of the future. And, that's why, even though they were sitting, they were always saying, oh, you have to drill. Oil companies were sitting on at least 9,000 drilling permits, if not 11. I believe that it was at least 9,000 permits that they had, and they were not using them. They had 9,000 approved permits to go and drill, and they were not using those permits, to the point where Democrats told them, hey, we're going to have to start taking these permits away from you, because you guys claim that you want to drill, baby, drill, but you're not drilling. So if we're going to approve these permits, for you, and you don't want to drill, then we're just going to take them back. So again, you have to go and you have to find the facts. You have to go and check the data because, Donald Trump will tell you one thing, Fox News will tell you another thing, and then you make up your mind based on lies and propaganda, but you don't check the real facts. The real facts tell you oil companies are actually pulling back. They're firing people, they're downsizing, they're closing different facilities that they have, and they're not drilling more. Why is that? Because everything is a lie. So again, you have to go and check. I would say go and check this guy. He's here on YouTube. He's on Facebook. He's on TikTok. Go and follow Mr. Global. If you really want to understand what's going on and you want to listen to one of the leading voices in the world, an expert when it comes to the oil industry, go and listen to this guy. His account name, his handle is Mr. Global. Mr. Global is literally completely explaining, in detail all these things and all the lies and exposing what they're trying to do, actually now tanking the gas prices, oil prices, because that has a purpose. But I'm not going to get into that. Probably I'll just do a separate video to talk about that and maybe see if I can bring you some of the clips where he's discussing what they're doing. It's a whole plan that they have to try to at least lower oil, but they don't tell you the gas prices are, liquid gas prices are actually skyrocketing. That is used for heating. So instead of, oil may be going down and you may see that at the pump, but when it comes to energy and electricity prices, they're skyrocketing for different reasons. So, we'll get into that because that's a very complex topic. But all I'm saying is that this is fundamental. It's known and well established that presidents have little to nothing to do when it comes to gas prices. But, people see gas prices at the pump and all of a sudden they're like, oh my God, Donald Trump. That's one of the only things that they can claim. Then they'll say, well, gas prices and eggs. Well, I hope you can live on gas and eggs because most people are turning vegan. All of a sudden, MAGA world is turning vegan because they can't afford steaks. They can't afford beef right now. It's like a luxury. Donald Trump hasn't really delivered on pretty much any of the promises. Energy, he said energy would be down. Remember this one? He said electricity bills and energy are going to be down by 50% by the start of 2026, which is in 2 weeks. So let's celebrate. Because in 2 weeks, energy is going to, your energy bill, your electricity bill is supposed to fall, by 50%. That's Donald Trump's promise, and that's another one that he's going to fail at. Anyway, let me say hi. Javier Mojica from Puerto Rico. Oh, saying hi here. Here we are, my friend. Thank you, Javier, for joining us here. We have Spirit here saying Obama authorized over 1,800 drone strikes. He did seek approval. What's the difference? Let me tell you this. Obama was thoroughly investigated for all the drone strikes and military operations. Like Republicans didn't give him a single chance to breathe in a single day. I'm not here to say that Obama made all the right decisions. Number one, okay? I'm not going to say that Obama was like every single decision was perfect and that he always had 100% approval from Congress. When it comes to that, also learn this. Congress is always diversified and you have always people in favor and against different policies and actions and all of that. So to a certain degree, it's always going to be normal that you're going to have certain opposition. What I'm saying is that they did investigate him. They investigated Obama thoroughly, and they found zero crime. They could never refer Obama before presidential immunity. There wasn't a single referral for criminal, actions for prosecution ever. So go and check the hearings on every single Obama strike or, military action and find one that was deemed to be criminal and that there was a criminal referral to the DOJ and tell me what happened, because there is none. Yeah, there was criticism, but criticism and opposition doesn't mean criminal actions. So that's number one. And number two, I don't care about the both sides issue. Obama's not the president anymore. So whatever Obama did is he's gone. He's gone for a reason. Obviously, he's gone because he couldn't run for a third term. But even if he could have, if you guys would have voted him out, probably at some point. Joe Biden, the same thing. Oh, Joe Biden didn't release the Epstein files. didn't you vote against Joe Biden and Obama because they were bad? Precisely. So now your defense is, we had to get these people out because they were so bad. They were mismanaging foreign relationships. They were mismanaging our military. But now Donald Trump does the same shit, and your defense is to say, well, Obama did it too. My God. Come on, man. You have to do better than this. I'm going to tell you guys something. You guys don't know me really well yet. I've been doing my Spanish podcast for a minute, so people, MAGA lackeys that come to my podcast channel, they know you have to come really well prepared to my podcast. You may go online on TikTok and other places and maybe other podcasts and, share your bullshit. But here you have to come prepared with solid, sound arguments that make sense. Because I'm going to tear them apart. That was literally so easy, man. Spirit 859. Come on, man. They just, I don't know, buy a book or something and try on the next episode to see if you have better luck. Javed Chica, saludos. Thank you for being here. Here we go again. Yeah, Donald Trump starting another war somewhere else because, I'm the anti-war president or something, completely ridiculous and stupid. Eddie Lorenzo says, sharing billions with other countries when America is struggling. Again, yeah, 40 billion for Javier Milei down in Argentina, while he was giving farmers here, which actually don't even deserve, a rescue, an incentive, but giving farmers only 12 billion. And how much money have Americans actually received? Any incentive? Any rescue plan for Americans? None. But in the meantime, we're helping all these other countries. Absolutely, ridiculous. So, Eddie, thank you for that. Typical Richmond mentality that will help only the ones that benefit his lifestyle. Delusional, lost, and you held time to kick the bucket. Yeah. Eddie Lorenzo using some Puerto Rican language here. Huepa, cabrón, ese lenguaje. My bad, man. My bad. It was just once. I kind of like slipped. Okay, so... Call him come mierda. It's about the oil. Lilian Gonzalez says it's about the oil. 100% I'm with you right there. No, it isn't, says Virgil. Nigel, whatever you pronounce your name. I'm sorry. Nigel? Virgil, yeah, if you say so, perfect. I don't know how you can justify any other way to justify going into Venezuela right now. So I guess now, are you pro-war? Virgil, I thought you voted for the anti-war president, right? So all of a sudden he's a war hawk, and here you are defending him on social media. So, man, how do you feel about that? How can these people go to sleep at night and just rest in complete peace and feel relaxed? If I had voted for Biden and all of a sudden Biden came in and did exactly the whole opposite of what he promised he was going to do, I would be mad as hell. If he told me he was going to be the anti-war president and then he was going for, new wars with no reason against U.S. intelligence, against the American consensus. Right now, go and check all the polls. People don't want a war with Venezuela. People don't want us to go into Venezuela. But Donald Trump is completely disconnected, and this is why they are losing so badly. They are losing absolutely, in a devastating fashion. We saw it on November 4th, and then they were like, that was only the battleground states or even blue states. 100% expected. That means nothing. Yeah, it means nothing. I guess that's why Donald Trump was always promoting his own candidates for New York and asking people to vote for Cuomo, and then saying, if you vote for Mamdani, I'm going to take your federal funds away because, yeah, we don't care about New York. It's a blue state. But let me have Donald Trump posting every single day asking people to vote against Mamdani because it doesn't matter. So, yeah, let's actually invest millions in campaigns in all these blue states because they don't matter, right? Come on, man. Come on. This is, I don't know. Yeah. I think I'm going to start banning people here on the podcast that come up with this level of bullshit. You have to go to, I don't know, find like a kids. Maybe there's a couple of kids doing some kids politics podcast. Go there. That's where that kind of stupid, argument, illogical, unreasonable argument, belongs. It doesn't belong here. We're having serious discussions here that make sense based on the facts. Virgil says, you're an effing illegal. Okay, if you say so, who cares what you have to say? Are you all of a sudden like DHS or something? Oh, my God. Go and check your grandparents. Maybe were you born in the USA? I was born in the USA. Were you born in the USA? I was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So, just in case, even though if I had been born in Puerto Rico, still you are a citizen, just as much, of a citizen as if you were born in the mainland. So, always the personal attacks. I have nothing to say to defend Trump, so I'm going to start attacking you personally. Oh, because you're hurting my little heart. I feel so bad right now, and I'm frustrated. I'm hurt. You're an illegal, Daniel. You freaking bald, stupid, Marxist, libtard. Oh, Lord. Fixed shit even tracks says here, you're completely correct. The guy is a POS. Let me see. They are Mexican cartels operating in Venezuela. Around 100,000 die from overdose every year in the United States. I have lots of family members, and yes, those drugs make it to U.S. Google is a tool. Well, there is no questions, about some drugs making it to the United States, but we still have laws. We are a country of laws, and laws, even the Pentagon has its own manual in terms of how to handle survivors, how to handle all these attacks and situations. They're violating that. Going into war now, the question is, are they going to seek Congress, approval? Because president can take short military actions, small, short military actions. Anytime you're actually planning to actually declare war, that's a different thing, and they need Congress approval. Is Donald Trump going to seek Congress approval? I doubt it. The whole point is that he already has Venezuela supposedly surrounded, and he's announcing tonight. Congress hasn't announced that we have approved, war with Venezuela. So, it's so stupid that you read, people like this guy, Bud Russell, saying oh, we have drugs, they're killing people. So why is this a bad thing, right? Oh, because people are dying. Is it bad to break the law? People died then, of course, right? So why is Donald Trump pardoning Juan Orlando Hernandez, who trafficked 500 tons of cocaine? Why did he pardon the CC founder who helped to finance terrorism and drugs and child sexual exploitation? Why did he pardon the Silk Road founder, Ross Ulbricht, who also enabled financing for drug trafficking and money laundering, a bunch of other crimes? And here you are pretending that Donald Trump is the champion of, combating drugs. Come on, get the hell out of here, bro. Get the hell out of here. Hi, Danielle. Hugs and kisses for you. Thank you so much, Milagros. Thank you for joining today. We will never get the files because we are protecting Israel. True. That's part of the problem here. Evan Hargett says he's not the best, but he's the best we got. Are you talking about Donald Trump? Is that, do you think this is really the best that we can get? A guy, a convicted felon, sexual abuser, twice impeached, twice declared by two courts in Colorado an insurrectionist, a fraudster, a thief, a pathological liar. Man, if that's the best that we can get, I don't want to even think what's not the best that we have in that candidate pool when it comes to the Republican Party. Are you saying everything else in the Republican Party is completely shit? I would like to screenshot your comment right now saying that, this is the best that we can get, because if this is the best that we can get, what's going to happen once Donald Trump leaves? And he's leaving soon. He may even leave to go to heaven, because Donald Trump is falling apart in front of our very eyes, in front of the cameras. Donald Trump is sick. He is, very, weak right now. He has very low energy. They reduce his working day to only 12 to 5 to do public appearances between 12 and 5 because he just can't keep up anymore. That's why they're putting all these, apparently, IVs. You can see all those bruises right now in his hands that have been there for months now. Why? Because they keep inserting those, IVs, apparently. This is what people say. This is what, medical professionals are saying, that he's so weak and he's so sick, and this is why they're doing that, and that's part of a condition. It's a sign of his deteriorating health. And you can see he would say, "Oh, sleepy Biden," and then he would tell Fox, "You will never see me sleeping in any in front of the cameras." And now that's exactly the most that he'll do. when he's had these, cabinet meetings, he's like literally to the point of snoring, Sleepy Don. My God, and this is the best that we can get right now. I beg to differ. I don't think so, man. But anyway, guys, there's right now a bunch of comments. I really have to wrap it up and leave. Now I'm going to prepare to do my Spanish podcast. So I invite you guys to join me. Search for Aranzamendi Podcast Español. Hey, lastly, I have been working with Brian Tyler Cohen for the past almost like 3 years, helping with his Spanish channel. So please, if you made it this far and you either, speak Spanish or you have any Hispanics, friends, family, coworkers, please send them to Brian Tyler Cohen Español or send them to my Spanish channel, Aranzamendi Podcast Español. So, aside from that, thank you for all of you who are sharing at least some of your, viewpoints, and you do it at least respectfully, because then you have obviously the weak alpha males, MAGA, who just, I don't know, they can't string, like a sentence together with some facts and reason and logic. So the only thing they do is just let emotions take over, their animal, emotional side of the brain, and just they start insulting, because unfortunately, that's the only thing they can do, which doesn't bother me at all. I was telling people yesterday on my episode, I'm Puerto Rican. I come from Puerto Rico. I grew up in Puerto Rico. Puerto Ricans are quite tough, guys. We have thick skin. So if you think you're going to come to the chat and insult me and that's going to move me somehow, bro, growing up in Puerto Rico, I can tell you that's like the equivalent of just, hugging me and giving me a kiss, man. Like an insult in the chat section. Oh my God, I'm gonna die. I just can't take it anymore. I'm gonna stop doing my podcast, and I'm just gonna leave the country, because even though I'm a Puerto Rican and I'm a U.S. citizen, I have to leave. I have to leave because somehow I'm a Marxist and I'm a libtard. But anyway, I appreciate those of you who at least try to argue and present your own viewpoint, and you do it respectfully, because at least then we can try to have a conversation, and I can let what I think about the argument. But I invite you to keep doing it. If you see that I'm live, join me and tell us why Donald Trump is supposed to be right or not, or wrong, or why we are wrong. Let me see. I think I had a live a poll right now on YouTube. So let me see. Do you support Trump going to war with Venezuela after promising to be the anti-war president? So let me share this live with you guys so you can see exactly how the poll is going right now. Let me just create a quick screen capture here and just limit it to that space so I can increase it and you can see it. So here it is. Let me increase it now. What it says, look at this. Do you support Trump going to war? This is in on YouTube right now, in the chat section. If you go to the live stream right now on YouTube, you're gonna see the poll. Do you support Trump going to war with Venezuela after promising to be the anti-war president? So far, we have 172 votes. 35% say yes, 55% say no, and 9% are saying I don't know. So I'm going to end the poll there right now because, like I said, I'm going to wrap it up now. And that's going to be the final result. So the final result shows that 55% are, won. This poll saying they don't want the United States to go to war with Venezuela. And man, I wish I could, just screenshot all these comments, right? All these comments somehow defending Donald Trump becoming a war hawk and trying to go into Venezuela. Because I can assure you, the moment Donald Trump is out, and very likely there's a high probability that either Gavin Newsom or AOC or Kamala Harris, I don't care, whoever the Democrat is, anyone is going to be better than Donald Trump, by far, by a lot actually. Once it changes, the moment there is whatever, even just a conversation about the U.S. maybe intervening somewhere militarily, like in a military way, attacking or going for combat anywhere, you're going to see all these people literally flipping and then saying that we shouldn't be a war country going into every single country and spending our taxpayer money in wars that we don't need to be fighting, that we should put America first. And all of a sudden, that's not what I'm seeing. we're not seeing America first right now when it comes to Donald Trump and all these actions, how he's helping foreign governments and dictators and, you know, just giving them billions of dollars while Americans right now are suffering and they can't even afford to live. We even saw Fox News start talking now about austerity. Oh, we have to start talking about austerity. Really? Anyway, that's it. I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you guys for joining me. This is the Aranzamendi podcast. My name is Daniel Aranzamendi. Please leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode. Okay, so take care.